Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Eddie Marcus again, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I spent quite a few years speaking to you about thy will being done on earth as it is in heaven, talking about a form of paradise in the sense that you can understand it. And I haven't actually talked to anyone or heard any responses from anyone who understood from whence my message came or showed any interest, let alone support. So I have to conclude from that we are so caught up in man's way of doing things until whatever we talk about in relationship to God is just absolutely foreign. And because we all seek peace and prosperity in our lives, and that's the message that I've been brought, then it appears to me that it would be wise if I would take a little bit of time and coach you into the concept of thy will being done on earth, paradise on earth. And I'm going to have to break it down into little segments of our society in order for you to understand it. I don't want to crowd you out. I want to give you a portion at a time. But in order for us to understand it, I want you to know that there are some basic essentials that we must establish. And one is this: lying. Lying has got to stop. That's one of the basic enemies against truth, is a lie. Now, we have concluded that lying comes in at very important moments in time in our lives. And any and every last one of us have found it essential to lie. And we, whoever we are and wherever we have been, will lie occasionally. In fact, every last one of us who are listening to me now, and those who aren't, human beings will just lie. Now, where did lying come from? When babies come into the world, they don't come in lying. They're honest as best they know how. But they are taught to lie. Now, usually, the first expression or education to a child about lying is when the parent tries to avoid responding to maybe a phone call or a knock at the door, and they will tell the child, "Say I'm not here." And the child would think, "Say I'm not here." And then they will go and say, "My parent isn't here. Mom, Dad, they're not here," or something similar to that. And that would be an introduction that when you don't want something to happen, you just say something to prevent it from happening, which usually is a lie. And so that is usually the introduction that we get into that freedom from doing what you want to do, freedom from dealing with responsibility. Now, other times we are taught to lie when we have heard this, experienced this expression that I've just shared with you. But many times it's not enough to take us over that hump to make us liars. But we find ourselves in perhaps trouble. And we want to get out of that trouble. You know, like a spanking. We've done something. For a few times we told the truth about it, and we might have got a spanking, we might not. But ultimately, when the education comes about lying, it's because we're trying to avoid. So for this example, I want to use a spanking or trouble. And so rather than tell the truth and take a chance on getting into this trouble or having to go through the spanking, we remember that it worked when we told somebody or answered the phone and said that our parent wasn't around or whatever that education come from, we refer back to it. And so we decide to say something different than what the truth is, because in hopes it will prevent us from having to go through that trouble or through that punishment or that spanking. And so we do it. Then all of a sudden it works and we feel so good. A lie becomes one of our best friends, one of our tools that we'll use. We'll use it in school. We'll use it with our parents. We'll use it with our friends. We'll use it with our associates. We'll just use it anytime it will work for us. So a lie is something that we use to keep us from having to deal with the responsibilities of the truth. So in order for us to talk about paradise, in order for us to talk about thy will being done on earth as it is in heaven, we got to first make a decision that we're going to stop lying. We're going to represent the truth wherever it leads us. It might lead us into being good people. It might lead us into doing appropriate things, things that we're not embarrassed of, things that we're not ashamed of. And it even might lead us into things where we might have to be bold and bodacious and stand up to whatever the consequences are. Now that's a great way to overcome lying. So I'm saying to all of you who are listening to me today, I want you to know that we're going to deal with this problem of crime and violence and terrorism and war and poverty and ghettos and skid rows. We're going to deal with that. But I want you to first focus on this, and it is called stop lying. So this is all we're going to focus on today. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. As you walk away from this, make up your mind. You're going to do everything you possibly can to stop lying. Now we know that you're going to run into some situations that will still make you feel that a lie is the best thing to do. And we're not expecting you to be perfect right away. We expect this to maybe take some time. It might take a whole week for you to decide to stop lying and mean it. But let's work on it, and let's get that taken care of. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus say, stop lying.